Okay, so today in front of the camera, I've got the start of my lightweight build that I'm doing. I went ahead and did the upper a while back off camera. I just got excited and I couldn't really wait and just put everything together. And besides, it would have been the exact same process as the video that I did on assembling my last upper. It's the same handguard, same process and everything, just different barrel, gas block and muzzle brake, but it all goes together the same way. But I'll cover that in just a second. Gonna be going through the lower receiver and redoing everything. I've got some parts to put into it, hopefully shed a few ounces off of the lower receiver. And we'll be weighing everything. I have a scale over there that I'm gonna be weighing stuff. It's gonna be new stock, new hand grip, and a few other little odds and ends that I have hanging up on the wall. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so in this upper, it consists of a mil-spec DPMS receiver, the 15-inch M-LOK lightweight handguard, which according to Midwest Industries weighs 9.3 ounces with the barrel nut. Then underneath that, I've got the Faxon Firearms 16-inch pencil barrel, which is chromoly with a mid-length gas system. The gas block surface is 0.625 in diameter, and mated to that I have a 2A Armament titanium gas block, which they claim weighs 0.7 ounces, which is extremely light. Then at the end of the barrel, I also have a 2A Armament T3 titanium comp, which they claim only weighs 1.35 ounces. Again, extremely light. That compensator looks really good, and I hope it performs even half as good as it looks. All the reviews on it have been really awesome, but let's go ahead and see how much this whole setup weighs real quick. Okay, so with the whole rifle assembled on the scale, looks like it comes in at just a hair over 6 pounds, 6 pounds 0.5 ounces, so that's fairly light already. But that's nothing too impressive. So we'll see if we can't get that a little bit lower. Let me go ahead and disassemble some stuff and start throwing things on the scale one by one. Okay, now to weigh some stuff individually. We have the upper, which comes in at 2 pounds 8.3 ounces. Let's see if that's right. Yeah, 2 pounds 8.3 ounces for just the upper. For the BCG, looks like 10.9. For the charging handle by itself, 1.4. Both of them together is going to be 12.4. Then the buffer comes in at 7.2. Now this is a self-captured buffer. I also have a mil-spec buffer that I'm going to be weighing here in just a little bit. But let's take a look at the lower just by itself. No buffer, just the lower. That's going to be 2 pounds 4.4 ounces. Alright, so what we have here is all the parts I'm going to be installing today. Hoping to save some weight with these two right here. This is going to be the Mission First Tactical Battle Link Minimalist stock. So they claim it weighs, I think, 5.8 ounces. I've already weighed it, and you'll see that in a minute. It's a little bit off according to my scale, but it's still very light. Then I'm going to be doing the Magpul MOE Slimline pistol grip. It's going to save a few ounces over the Myad. Then the rest of this stuff, like the bad lever I have right here, the MOE trigger guard, ASAP QD, and then this Odin Works extended mag release are all just things that I'm going to be doing just for personal reasons, kind of ergonomics and just for looks and functionality. So the real weight savings hopefully is going to come from the stock and the pistol grip on the lower. Alright, so I got everything taken apart, laid out in front of the camera. It's time to start weighing some things. Let's start with the mostly stripped lower receiver. Now the only thing that the receiver has in it at this point right now is the bolt catch and the front takedown pin. The rear takedown pin is gone. The front takedown pin, I'm just not going to mess with it. I can tell you just from experience that takedown pin weighs about 0.2 of an ounce. I have the other one right here, so set that on there. So now it's 9.2, take it away. So you could subtract another 0.2, so that would make it 8.8. Subtract maybe another 0.2, 0.3. You're looking at probably 8.5 ounces for a completely stripped lower receiver. Okay, so then let's go into trigger group. This is my CMC flat bar trigger, weighs 2.7 ounces. I do have a mil-spec trigger right here. Oh, and that is with the trigger pins in it. So that's 2.7 with the trigger pins. I also have a mil-spec style trigger. Pins and everything is 2.5. So the CMC is 0.2 of an ounce heavier. Really doesn't make any difference. Maybe if you're a stickler, but for me, it more than justifies having this badass trigger versus the weight savings. Moving on, let's go over here to our self-captured JP buffer. It's going to come in at 7.2 ounces versus a mil-spec carbine. Let's see if I can get the spring to stay put. So it's going to come in at 4.9, so that's actually a pretty good weight savings there. I'll probably, on this rifle, go back to a mil-spec buffer versus the JP. This is a really nice unit and it recoils very nicely, but for this rifle, that is a pretty good weight savings. I think I'm going to go back to a mil-spec buffer on this one. Okay, going to the JP FMOS, which is full mass operating system, BCG. Comes in at 10.9. I had it at 10.8 earlier. 10.9. Okay, it's being a little diversion there, but I have a mil-spec DPMS bolt. Comes in at 11 ounces on the dot. Now this is, I want to say this is a semi-auto bolt versus a fully auto, so this even weighs a little bit less than what a fully auto capable bolt would go. And it's 11. So it's about the same, but keep in mind a fully auto bolt is going to weigh a little bit more. Now moving into some of the juicy stuff. Something I just noticed after pulling these apart, the commercial buffer tube is going to be on the right and the mil-spec is going to be on the left. That commercial tube is it's longer, and I didn't realize that. It's longer by about ½ an inch to an inch or so. So obviously you can guess which one's going to weigh more. Mil-spec is 3.6 and the commercial is 5.1. So between buffer tube and buffer itself, it's going to save a little bit of weight there. Alright, moving on up into the pistol grips. This is the Magpul Myad. It has the storage in it. I don't know if I can get it open. So, and there is a CLP bottle in there with a little bit of CLP because that's how I run it. So, and it does have the screw in the pistol grip. 4.2 ounces. Oops. Then the MOE Slimline is going to be 2.7 with the screw. Okay. Next, the really good part. Stocks. So the STR that I had on there before, 12.8, and there's nothing in the storage compartments, just 12.8. Just kind of trying to decide where it wants to settle. 12.7, 12.8, it's right on the cusp. Okay. Minimalist 6.1. Now again, they claimed that it was 5.8. It actually reads out at 6.1. Whatever, it's probably just a deviation in the scale, a little bit of error, but not bad. I'll take it for 0.3 of an ounce. And who knows, maybe the comm spec is a little bit lighter. Maybe the mil spec's just a hair heavier. Who knows? Okay. What else did I want to measure here? Okay. So next, all of this little stuff off to the side really isn't going to make that much of a difference, but just because I'm already here and I'm already doing it, let's go ahead and measure some of this stuff. So trigger guard, 0.1. Trigger guard, 0.1. Big surprise. End plate with the QD mount. Okay, let's do the mil spec first. Mil spec end plate 0.5. Magpul ASAP 0.7. So a little bit heavier there on the Magpul side. Castle nut for those who are curious, 0.5. All right. Mag release, 0.3. That's mil spec. So take away mil spec button, put on the Odin Works. It's 0.4. So it goes up from really, it's about the same. That's 0.3. Take the button away, and it's still 0.3. So this button is so small that the scale's not even registering it. Take that one off, put the Odin Works on, it's 0.4. So hardly any difference there at all. Alright, now throwing the bad lever in, it's 0.2. So even with this big awkward looking thing, it looks like it would weigh more, but it really doesn't. 0.2 of an ounce. I can live with that. Okay. Oh, looks like I forgot charging handle. So this is the closest thing to a mil-spec charging handle that I have. It's nickel boron coated. So this one's going to come in at 1.1 ounces. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start slapping this thing back together and see what the final weight comes out to. Okay, so now I've got everything put together with the new parts, and let's go ahead and weigh the lower. Now this is going to be with no buffer in it. Comes out to 1 pound 11.6 ounces. If you remember, the old setup weighed in at 2 pounds 4.4 ounces. So this, even with the buffer on it, comes in at just a hair over 2 pounds. So even with the buffer in there, I'm still lighter than the old setup without the buffer, which is awesome. So that's pretty good weight savings there. And so far I like everything. The bad lever really didn't add any weight or anything to the rifle that was undesired. Looks like it's going to work okay. The Odin Works button has a little bit more play in it than I would like. The other thing with the Odin Works, let me see if I can get a shot of this. Okay, so you can see the button head on the trigger pin, button head screw, interferes with that extended mag release just a little bit. But I tested it out. You can still drop a magazine with it pretty good. I may or may not file that down just a little bit on that extended mag release to clear that button a little bit better. Okay, so with the rifle back together, let's take a look. Gonna come in at 5 pounds 5.3 ounces. So that's under 5.5 pounds. If you remember when we started this, it was just a hair over 6 pounds. 6 pounds 0.5 ounces, I believe. So even with, let me go ahead and throw these on there, even with the sights on it, comes in at just a hair under 5.5 pounds. So I'm going to call that good. I'm happy with it. The rifle is extremely well balanced, and it, all I had to do was change a few things. And I even added a little bit of weight in some spots, but by changing just a few things on the lower receiver, cut off, just a hair over half a pound, which is pretty noticeable. The rifle is very much noticeably lighter. So let me go ahead and reset the camera. I'm gonna get a zoomed out shot of the rifle and kind of give my thoughts on everything. Okay, so here we have it all put back together. Everything fits really well. It all went together really nicely to make a pretty dang light rifle, and it looks pretty bitchin' if I do say so myself. So real quick, just kind of a quick review of some of the parts that I put on here. The Mission First Tactical stock is really lightweight. but that does not mean that it's flimsy by any means, or that it's poorly constructed. It is every bit as good as you know, a name brand piece like Magpul or Hogue or any of the other big brands. One thing I will say though, and I've heard this in other reviews, is that it's extremely tight on the buffer tube. It's very hard to move up and down to adjust it. I'm thinking that I'm probably going to take it off and sand down the inside of it just a hair. Playing with it a little bit did get it to loosen up, but still though, it's pretty dang strong. So got to put a lot of oomph into it to, it's not something that should be really quick on the fly, but I think I can fix that. So I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. The Magpul grip, I really like the stippling on the grip. It's a really nice grip surface. At first, you know, looking at it online, I thought, you know, being that it's the slim line or whatever, that it was going to be too slim, and it was going to be too much like a mil-spec style pistol grip. But that's not the case. You do have this nice back strap here that does increase the distance between the face of the trigger and the back of the pistol grip, which I do like, because I think that is the downfall on the mil-spec one. The back of the pistol grip is too close to the trigger face, which gets your trigger finger too bunched up. So do like the Magpul slimline grip. It's a very nice piece. The trigger guard does exactly what it's supposed to do. It closes up that gap in between the trigger guard and the front of the pistol grip, so that you're not rubbing blisters on yourself from shooting all day. So pretty nice. The bad lever works exactly the way I thought it would work. I was a little worried that the bad lever was going to be too stiff to send the bolt home, but it's really not. It's you know, a couple pounds worth of pressure and it sends the bolt home. It does wiggle a little bit, but I mean that's just more the fitment of the actual bolt catch itself versus the bad lever. So not really anything I can do about that. The bad lever itself does exactly what it's supposed to do. Other than that, right now I have the old style in-bus sights on it. I'm going to be going to the pros. I'd rather just have, I would feel better just having a metal set of sights on there versus polymer. Call me old school, but you know, I just feel better having metal sights on it than polymer sights. So that's probably something I'm going to change. But overall, I mean, the rifle is light enough to where you can manipulate the thing one-handed. I could shoot this thing one-handed, and it really wouldn't be too much of a problem. So I think it's pretty much goal achieved on that. The Odin Works extended mag release, the FD, the flat dark earth on that matches everything pretty well. Now, one thing that should be noted, if you're going to go with a flat dark earth minimalist stock, get the scorched flat dark earth, because that's going to get you as close to the Magpul FDE as possible. The other color is too light, and I've heard it said in other reviews, but I think it's good to just put it out there again. If you want it to match, you're going to have to go with the scorched flat dark earth, and even then it's just a little bit darker than the FDE from Magpul, but at a glance you would never notice, and I'm not going to nitpick. It's definitely close enough for me. And another thing that I think should be made note of, this guy does not rattle. Like I said, it's a really tight fit on there, it does not rattle. Now let me show you something with the STR, the old setup. It rattles like crazy. It's way too loose. That's just unacceptable. As for as expensive as this stock is, that's just completely unacceptable. So probably just gonna sell off this whole setup. So anyways, that's that. If you guys want to see a more in-depth review on anything that I have, just post a comment and I'll try to get to it. But yeah, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and thank you for watching.